Hi, this is Alex from Alex's Reviews. For those of you who have not met me, I'm Alex. Today I'll be talking about a book from my World Lit class, World Literature to the 16th Century. We'll be talking about the world's oldest piece of literature. When they found it, it was carved in stone. The story is called Gilgamesh. Let me zoom in there. Backwards. Oh well. Anyway, so Gilgamesh is the oldest piece of literature written in stone. It's also a very interesting story, and one of the things the professor asked us to think about while reading these is, why do we think these stories hold up still today while some other stories will be gone pretty soon, or we forget about a lot of other stories, but a lot of the ones we read in this class are the ones we will remember throughout time and have lasted. They also set the standard for a lot of different stories, and you find similarities within them. One thing I want to kind of warn you guys about is the difference between these reviews and the other ones is I will be talking about the ending of the story as well. So if you guys aren't into spoiler alerts, kind of stop when I might give a signal, but don't go too far into it. If you like the way the other reviews were and it kept you interested, stop at a certain point once you're interested, and then go back and read it. Otherwise, you're just going to find out about what happens at the end, especially with this story. So anyway, Gilgamesh is a man who is 2/3 god and 1/3 human. He was created by the gods, set down. He was gifted with beauty, strength, wisdom, but he's also pretty cocky. And through his cockiness, he ends up angering the gods. And the gods tell the people that created him, you need to create someone who will destroy him, or will at least, I'd say, balance him out. So they create this person called Enkidu. He's a strong man. He looks a lot like a beast, and that's where he starts off, going through the fields with the beasts, protecting them, and that's how Gilgamesh finds out about Enkidu. Because a hunter boy goes out and he finds that all his traps are getting ripped up by Enkidu, and Enkidu's protecting all the animals that he's trying to hunt to survive. And he goes back to his father, and his father says, go to Uruk, which is the town that Gilgamesh basically rules. Get Gilgamesh, ask him what to do. So he goes, he finds Gilgamesh, and Gilgamesh tells him to take a wanton woman and use the woman to seduce Enkidu and to make him more of a man. So that plan works out. Enkidu does it, I think, for like 7 days, 3 days, whatever it says in there. For 3 days straight, they mate. And then she leads him to go live with the humans because the animals are staying away from him. The animals want nothing to do with him anymore. So they give him clothes, they put oils on him, they give him wine, bread. And eventually, Enkidu sees Gilgamesh. He's like, who is this man? What is he doing? So the woman tells him, oh, it's Gilgamesh, strongest of all. Enkidu's like, I want to challenge him. So Enkidu goes out and they grapple for a little while, and once Gilgamesh sees that Enkidu is not destroyed right away, that they're able to tussle for a little bit, they become friends, and Enkidu lives by Gilgamesh's side. After a while, Enkidu and Gilgamesh get a little bit bored, and Gilgamesh, he's really into getting the glory and keeping his name strong forever and living forever, so he wants to take Enkidu and go and make a name for himself by going and kill this person, Humbaba. If I say some of these names wrong, I'm sorry. And by killing him, gain glory beyond his years. So they go and look for Humbaba, and Gilgamesh slowly starts to believe in himself less and less as they go on, and Enkidu's like, come on, you gotta do this. We said we can do it. Pray to the gods every day, drink water, give some up to the gods. So he prays every day, and eventually his prayers are answered, and they go out, they find Humbaba, and they kill him. After he kills Humbaba, while he's keeping himself off, a female god named Ishtar comes down and wants him to marry her. And in a little bit of a jerky way, I'd say, Gilgamesh says, nope. He says, you've been with so many different men. All the ones you've married have either died or turned into animals, or you get bored of them. So he says no. And usually when talking to a god, you want to be a little bit nicer because of how much power they have, but you got to remember how cocky Gilgamesh kind of is. And so that kind of gets the better of him. And she gets mad, throws a temper tantrum, goes to, I believe, her father, one of the gods, and is saying, "You have to let me use the bull of heaven," which is this literally a giant, strong bull, so I can get back at Gilgamesh. And at first they're fighting it, and then finally he's like, "Fine, go ahead." So she takes the bull down to Uruk, and in a few moves, a lot of the city gets destroyed, people die, whatever, creates craters, and Gilgamesh and Enkidu come out, and they're able to kill the bull. Ishtar's mad at that, of course, so Ishtar leaves. But killing the bull costs them Enkidu. Enkidu dies, and Gilgamesh stays with the body of Enkidu until, as they say, till the worms come, aka the body rots, worms and maggots go through the body, that kind of thing. And looking at this, Gilgamesh thinks, oh gosh, one, he just lost a big friend. Two, if someone as strong as Enkidu can die, that means it might even be possible for me to die. That one day he starts thinking, I'm gonna die. So that puts him on the search for eternal life. So he starts going to find this man. I'm gonna say the name most likely wrong, but Utnapishtim, because he was one of the first men to, I think the only men to be able to have a conversation with the gods and live for a while with his wife or whatever. So he goes out to find him. He goes through all these areas, and through this time, his clothes get worn down. He's getting older. His body's wearing down, and eventually he gets to him and finds him. And Utnapishtim says, no, at first, and then eventually he's like, fine. If you can stay awake for 7 days straight in this cavern, then I will do what I can to get you to see the gods, eternal life, whatever. So Gilgamesh goes into the cavern, or whatever it is, and sits there. Not even very long goes by, and Gilgamesh passes right on out. It's not even a day, and he passes out. And Utnapishtim, God, I swear I'm saying that name wrong, says to his wife, he's going to wake up and he's going to say, no, I've been awake this whole time. I only fell asleep for like 2 minutes. He says, wait, I have an idea. Let's get loaves of bread and bake one every day. Put a different type of bread there every day so that he knows how many days he's been out. 7 days goes by, 7 different types of loaves. I think some are molded, some are on flames or whatever. There's a lot of differences in each of the breads. So Gilgamesh wakes up the 7th day and like, oh, you just caught me. I just started falling asleep. And Utnapishtim says, nope, these breads, each of these breads means a day you were awake. Sorry. So Gilgamesh gets very sad, and he is basically begging, gets a little angry, I think, for Utnapishtim to somehow get him everlasting life. So he tells him, I can't necessarily give you that, but there is a plant at the bottom of this sea or ocean that will take away your aches, your pains, it'll restore your youth. And Gilgamesh ties stones to his feet so that way he can go down under the water and grab it. So he gets it, he unleashes the stones from his feet and floats up. And for a split second, you notice, out of what he says, that he's starting to care for other people. He says, I'm going to use this on myself, and that way I can go back and share with all the old people of Uruk and grant them their youth back so they can be the young, strong men they once were, or be in their prime. And he puts the flower down for a second to celebrate, the plant, whatever, down to celebrate. And a serpent comes out of the sea, grabs the plant, and goes back down. Gilgamesh drops down, gets extremely upset, and that's about where the story ends. Thank you for listening. They're still actually looking for pieces of Gilgamesh. They're still finding it to this day, so I think it's a pretty cool story. A lot of the times throughout there really makes you think of biblical references, like when Enkidu is mating with the woman. After that, he starts to gain knowledge, kind of like when Eve eats the apple, she starts to gain knowledge, and then she makes Adam eat it, and they're worried about being naked, and they start to know all these different things. That's what I kind of thought of when I read it. There's also a lot of references to the number 7 or 3, which a lot of times show up in the Bible, and that's a lot what we talked about in the class, how it kind of related to the Bible, how it relates to other stories. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting story in itself, and the fact that it's that old was pretty good. It comes in a lot of different variations depending on what translator you're using. There's forms where it's in a poem style. There's this form where it's really more of a story. But all in all, I think it was pretty good. So check it out. It's called Gilgamesh. The author is unknown, carved in stone. I don't think there's an author there on the stone. But anyway, it was a pretty good story. So check it out. All right, YouTube. Bye.